Yes, it's Joe Walsh.
It's like your favorite station.
Hey y'all, this is Kristin Casey, author of Rock Monster, My Life with Joe Walsh.
Just like they do on the radio.
And you are listening to Joe K on the Play That Rock and Roll podcast. Now it's all about the podcast, and I'm telling you, Joe K is one of the best.
Why I love your book so much is it's such a window into the aspects of Joe's life that aren't really written about anywhere else. I knew about his tour with the band The Best in Japan, but I know nobody else I knew about it, and I didn't know much about it, and I still really don't. But your stories of like what that show was like was so interesting to me because it's something that isn't written about anywhere else. And so of course I feel I got to ask about it. What was that tour all about? How did you enjoy it? And was that supposed to go beyond just the dates in Japan and Hawaii, or was it a sort of a one-off deal?
No, I think it was supposed to continue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I'm not 100% clear on why it didn't. Again, Joe didn't, and I didn't ask. I mean, I'm sure if I'd have asked, he would have told me. Or maybe I asked and he didn't get too deep into it. And I was the kind of person who's like, I'm not going to push. But no, I think the plan was to, keep it going. Maybe he was sort of inspired by what Ringo had been doing. And, all the guys were very excited about it. I remember rehearsals, all the guys being super excited about it. So I don't know. I don't know what combination of factors or any major factors that just kind of caused it to fall apart once they got back. But yeah, what I remember of that tour, unfortunately, is a little choppy because I was drinking heavily.
Yes. I was going to say, my memory of seeing some of those videos of The Best on YouTube is like, I've seen a lot of videos of Joe, and I've definitely seen him perform pretty intoxicated. But when I think of the performances or appearances that he is the drunkest that I've ever seen, it's those videos. And I sort of thought like, maybe that was where some of the trouble started.
This is a song by our wonderful bass player here, Mr. John Entwistle.
This is my favorite song in the whole set.
Me too.
I don't care about my songs.
Well, I tell you, there's definitely a reason for that, or at least one of the reasons for that, which was that in the States, Joe was a coke addict, as I had become by then, and we could get coke anywhere we wanted in the States.
Oh.
When we left the country, we could not. And so what happens, as most addicts will tell you, if you can't get your drug of choice, you're going to compensate with something. That's the nature of addiction. It's not like you're going to choose to do that. I didn't choose to drink I was a heavy drinker to begin with. I didn't choose to drink twice as much in Japan. My body was craving it because I couldn't get coke. So, I think that's what the same thing was happening with Joe. He didn't have any cocaine when we were in Japan. If he did, I don't know where he got it, and it would have been an incredibly small amount. But I mean, as bad of an addict as he wasn't insane. He would not have been looking to score coke in Japan. Even of all countries, that would not have been the one who would have tried to do that, So we were drinking a lot. We were fighting a lot. I remembered some of the shows were, I liked some parts of it, but my main memory is that I thought Keith Emerson's solo was too long. And that I got bored. I mean, they only did like 5 gigs or something, and by halfway through I got bored, and the last couple I spent backstage, I think.
I'm so glad you brought that up because you wrote that same thing about Emerson and in your book, and that was I almost pulled that quote to ask you about because I like prog rock as a casual fan, you know, and I think that every music fan that isn't specifically a prog rock fan would say, God, that keyboard solo is too long on any prog song. So I thought that was pretty great.
I never have known if it was just me or not, and I've tried to watch that tape. I found it online myself, and it was a while ago. It was probably when I was writing the book, and I don't remember if I made it all the way through.
Oh yeah,
painful.
Yeah. So were the rest of the guys in that group partying pretty hard with you guys, or was it like just Joe and I guess Entwistle?
Joe and Entwistle. I don't remember. I'm going blank on the singer's name, but I don't remember him ever being drunk. Simon, the drummer, I don't remember him.
Simon Phillips.
The brothers were there, if I recall. The backup singers, they were not hardcore partiers. Who else? Skunk Baxter. I don't remember him ever being drunk. No.
With that nickname? Come on.
I know. Well, you know where that nickname came from is apparently he didn't used to, like in the 70s, used to bathe all that often. And so he would,
Great.
So that's where that came from. All I know is that I adored Skunk very much, and he was always spring fresh.
Oh, good. Okay.
Never once smelled that. In fact, I remember Skunk as being incredibly gentlemanly and very sweet and very thoughtful, and especially in Japan, in fact, because he could see that I was drinking too much and that Joe and I were fighting, and every day he would just, kind of check on me, see how I was doing. He couldn't have been sweeter. I adored him.
Wow, okay, that's sweet.
Yeah. Skunk was a real sweetheart. His parents were there. They were lovely. So it was, and I don't remember how much Entwistle drank before shows, but yeah, which might have been a lot. I just don't remember.
Sure.
But definitely, and I first met John at a party. When I first got together with Joe, we were in LA and we were at a party at Sean Carcian, who worked at the limo company that we used. He was a good friend of Joe's. He's passed away now. But I met him at a party there, and it was just him and I, John Entwistle and I, in the kitchen. And I vaguely knew who he was. I think we'd been introduced, but he was wasted.
Oh.
He was just beyond wasted. And he kept talking to me, and I could only understand half of what he was saying. And I couldn't tell if he was flirting with me or not, because it was just the strangest conversation, but he was adorable. And when he wasn't drunk, he was actually quite shy and reserved, but sweet. I really liked John a lot. He was lovely. When he was drunk, he'd be really outgoing and silly. And in Japan, our last night there, he was again like ridiculously wasted. And he would go from like this very proper, quiet English guy to just like, security was coming up to the room.
Right.
Because he was being so loud.
But that's funny. The ox in sort of a different way, right?
Yeah. Absolutely one of my favorite podcasts. Got to give them a listen.
Yes!